Chapter 7. To the East. Jack and Annie stood for a long moment. Annie spoke first. "Well, I guess the tall ninja was pointing to the east," he said. "I guess that's the way we go." "Wait," said Jack. I need to write some of this stuff down." He took out his notebook. In the moonlight, he wrote, Number 1, use nature. Number 2, be nature. And number 3, follow nature. "Look, Jack," whispered Annie. "Do I look like a ninja?" He looked at her, and she pulled her sweatshirt hood right over her head and tied her strings tightly. She did look like a ninja, a very small one. "Good idea," Jack whispered. He pulled his hood up, too. "Okay, let's go," said Annie. Jack put his notebook away, and then he and Annie headed east into the woods. They slipped between trees and more trees and more trees. All the trees looked the same. Jack got confused. Were they still going in the right direction? "Wait," he said. Annie stopped, and they both stared at the woods around them. "Do you think we're still going east?" asked Jack. I guess so," said Annie. "We can't just guess," said Jack. "We have to know for sure." "Well, how do we do that?" said Annie. "We don't even have a compass." Just then, the master's words came back to Jack. The ninja master said, "Use nature," he said. "Well, how do we do that?" said Annie. "Wait, I remember something." Jack closed his eyes. He remembered something in a camping book. Now, what was it? He opened his eyes. "I've got it! First, I need a stick," he said. Jack picked up a stick. "Here," he said. "Great, now we just need a space and with moonlight," said Jack. "There," said Annie. They moved into the moonlit space between the shadows. "Now push the stick into the ground," Jack said. Annie pushed the stick into the ground. "The stick's shadow looks like it's more than 6 inches, said Jack. "What do you think?" "It looks like it," said Annie. "Okay, then. That means the shadow's pointing east," said Jack. "Neat," said Annie. "So that way's east." Jack pointed to a new direction. "At least I hope it is." "We're real ninjas now," said Annie. "Yep," said Jack. "Maybe we are. Come on." They took off, heading east, they hoped. Soon they were out of the pine woods, and they walked down the Rocky Mountains. They moved slowly from rock to rock, and finally they rested against a giant rock. "Let's check our direction again," said Jack. Annie stuck another stick in the dirt. "There," he said. He pointed to the shadow on the ground. "That way." Annie peeked over the rock and down the mountain. "Yikes!" she said softly. Jack looked too. His heart nearly stopped. There were flames of fire coming up the mountain. The samurai. Jack and Annie ducked behind the rock. "Squeak," said the mouse. "Quiet, Peanut," said Annie. Jack reached into his pack, and he pulled out the ninja book. "I hope something is in here that can help us," he said. Jack flipped through the pages, page after page, until he found what he was looking for. It was a picture of warriors wearing bamboo armor. They were holding swords. He read, "The samurai were fierce Japanese fighters. They carried 2 swords to cut down their enemies." Annie tapped Jack on the shoulder. Jack looked at her. Oh no. She pointed up the mountain. The figure was coming down towards them. He was very near, and in the moonlight, his bamboo armor was shining. His 2 swords were gleaming. It was a samurai warrior.